Hello, guys. And if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. Today our story from the user Thrara98, and it is called Ex-Wife, 25 female, and I, 26 male, are getting back together. I found her ex's initials carved on her butt. Should I learn to move past it? Story. I went on a family trip with my ex-wife and our 4-year-old son last weekend along with our 10 other family members. The Airbnb we had rented out got tight, so I got my ex-wife and kid one nearby. I went to drop them off, and she suggested we watch a movie together as a family. I agreed, and after our son fell asleep, one thing led to another, and we ended up having sex. At that moment, it felt like all the resentment we had for one another vanished, and a flame had rekindled. We were together all the next day, and agreed to get back together, not just for the sake of our child, but because we had changed a lot over the years, and were ready to have a proper, mature relationship. Things were going well, and last night we went out with my friends. We had one of the best nights of our lives. We ended up at my friend's place, and they told us we can take the guest room, so we didn't have to drive far to go home at 3 a.m. This was a great opportunity to have sex again, because we both are living with our parents right now and nobody knows we're getting back together. I suggested this time we keep the lights on since I recall we both enjoyed that in our past relationship. She kept saying no, but eventually allowed it. Everything was going well until she turned around. As she turned, I see 2 huge scars on each butt cheek, 2 letters that I recognized. Her ex that she had dated after we divorced. They were carved clean. I immediately stopped as I couldn't continue and asked her what that was. She acted as if it was nothing. Don't worry about it, just past stuff. It shouldn't matter anymore. My jealousy took over, and I had an emotional breakdown. All I could think was this is all I wanted. She's the one I've always wanted and loved, and I finally have her back. But now I have to see this person's initials permanently scarred on my wife's butt every time she's naked or even in a swimsuit or bikini. I said to her some regrettable things at this point, because in my head I was thinking she allowed this sadistic behavior to be done to her. I asked her, in what world did you think this would go well? How could you think you can hide that? I would never date anyone that has their ex's initials tatted on their genitals, let alone me ex-wife that has them deep carved permanently with a knife. She took more it as me calling her a dirty whore. She started hitting me and throwing anything around her at me. She yelled at me that I was just using her for sex, and I don't love her, and I'm just here to hurt her like everyone else. This behavior was all new to me, and I've never seen her act like this. She was never abusive. I went home and have been crying all night and today. I loved her to death. She texted me saying she was sorry and that she's going to therapy to deal with her anger problems. She said she never voluntarily let that incident happen with the scars. Her ex was a sadistic abuser and she didn't know how to escape from him for 2 years. She said he did that to her when she was passed out along with other deep cuts on her arms, back, and thighs. I do believe her. She is easily manipulated and an innocent soul. I can see her falling for someone like that. But I'm trying so hard to convince myself it's okay. But I don't know how I can ever have sex with my wife seeing that. It hurts to think about. We never hurt each other when we were together. We just argued about childish things because we got married young. Now she has all this abuse trauma she's taking out on me. I don't know what to do. It's driving me insane. Comment 1 from user Warmspring. If you stay with her, all the more reason to be the opposite of that monster. She likely downplayed them BC. She was assaulted, abused, and literally branded. She has a lot more scars than just those initials. Decide if you will be part of helping her heal. You'll have to walk through a lot. You be overflowing with compassion, more patient than you've ever been. Don't get angry. You never, ever, ever mention the scars again. If she brings it up, follow her lead and encourage the discussion to wait until you're with a therapist. Mentally, love her scars and all. Mentally embrace the scars and don't let that monster win by giving a response of disgust. That's what he'd want, and only your wife loses if she feels shame for being abused. Best wishes. Comment 2 from user Unseen Unbiased. There's nothing for you to move past. Clearly some horribly abusive things happened to your ex-wife. You can choose to accept her as she is, and be there for her as she works through it, or you can decide it's too much for you and pass on the relationship. But nothing traumatic happened to you to move past. Either way, please be kind to her. I can't even imagine going through what you're describing happened to her, and the reactions she gets from people as they find out. Comment 3 from user EpicKitty17. You should go back to being co-parents. It's telling that your main focus is jealousy, and how can you ever have sex with her again? Not that she was horribly abused by her ex. It sounds like she was carved up like livestock in a slaughterhouse, and you're more focused on her ex or jealousy than that she's been traumatized. You do not sound at all mature, and she sounds like she needs to focus on her psychological recovery. Even with all she's been through, if she can't handle conflict without getting violent, she needs to prioritize her therapy. Maybe someday you guys will have a chance again, but right now you have some growing up to do, and she has some healing to do. Update. Thank you everyone for the advice and comments. You've all allowed me to see the whole situation from a different perspective. I made the situation more about me when my sweetheart was going through trauma of being with a literal psychopath. I learned a lot more about him as well. He's a living terroristic demon. He tried to kill them multiple times and crashed them into the side of a highway when they fought once. She said she couldn't leave because he would threaten to kill her, and even when she finally left, she felt the need to go back and continued on another year with him. She said she didn't know why she felt an attachment to him, even though he was the worst person she's ever came across. And after putting a restraining order on him, she started going to therapy. Her therapist told her she has a very submissive personality, which allowed her to bond with her abuser in an extremely unhealthy way. This made sense to me, and my theory was correct. I've always known her to be the sweetest, most innocent person I've known, and would listen to anything anyone told her. I've since spent a lot of time talking with her, and we've decided this relationship is something we both deeply desire and want to pursue. I want to help her overcome this and build a proper and healthy family. The scars will not be a disturbance to me anymore. They serve as a reminder for me to treat her the way she deserves to be treated, and that monsters lose in the end. As for our son, she assured me none of this was happening near him, and he's only met her ex twice due to him showing up randomly and stalking them. She moved in with her abuser because he promised he would stop if she would live with him, and he was doing it out of love. Our son stayed with his grandma, and during this time I had no idea she was in a serious relationship, and she would meet me for regular visitation with him. I assumed she was still living with her mom and our son at their house. Comment 4 from user Luielu. 84. Now, see if you can get into therapy with her as soon as possible. You two moved way too fast. It's understandable, but cut the sex out now, and please be there for her. She is a victim. When I first read this, I thought she just had them tattooed on her. But he inflicted deep, violent pain against her. She is a victim, Opie, and this man has traumatized her. I know it's not going to be easy, but please, please be there for her if you really love her. Work through this with her. I truly hope it works out for you two, especially for the sake of your child. If she wasn't still in love with you the way you are her, she wouldn't have texted you to say she was sorry and be so vulnerable about what she has suffered at the hands of this weirdo. Please keep us updated. Comment 5 from user Purple Intention. I know this isn't the same thing, but I have a history of self-harm. My ex would cry if he saw the scars because he knew that some of the scars were when we were still dating. He told me he can't be in a relationship with me knowing that some of the scars are from our relationship. And to be honest, I don't understand what the problem exactly is. I know he doesn't like seeing them. He would rather the lights be off than see the scaring. It was one of the reasons he broke up with me. At the time, I wanted him to be with me to help me get through it instead of shaming me for something that I know isn't exactly good or healthy. I just wanted someone to help me feel safe and loved instead of being disgusted at my body for something that happened in the past. All that to say, if she is anything like me, she probably just wants you to support her and love her as she is. I know self-harm is different than an ex's initials. I'm not saying you should ignore your feelings and thoughts. If it is something that you simply can't get past, then I would consider maybe couples therapy or something. but I hope you don't feel an obligation to stay with her. It really sucks that things happened to her in the past. I remember the first time my ex mentioned the scars I have, we ended up yelling at each other because we just didn't understand each other. Hopefully you two can understand each other. Comment 6 from user follow. I'm sorry, you glossed over a big part of this story. You mentioned some pretty regrettable things you said to her, then immediately went to how you guys fought and she threw things at you. What exactly were the regrettable things? What exactly did you say to her to elicit such a strong reaction, and why don't you share that aspect? And I thought it was interesting how you phrased the emotional breakdown you had when you saw this. You seemed to be more upset about the fact that something you thought was yours, your ex, was now tainted, and not necessarily having an emotional reaction to the thought of the pain your ex went through instead, with what was clearly an abusive ex. If I were her, I'd want to be far away from both of you. Both you and the abusive ex think for some reason you are entitled to ownership of this woman and her body. Not once in your story did you show empathy or even sympathy for this woman who you claim to be somewhat of the love of your life. You even went as far as to call her abusive towards you, for such a horrible reaction you showed her. And very strategically left out important details to this story. I don't know, that's my take. I know this is probably not a very popular take, but damn, this was super rough to read. I hope she's getting the serious professional help she needs for her sake and for her son. You need to heal too, but obviously you two can't heal in the same space as you have very different needs. She needs someone who will see her a person. You need to learn how to see women as people. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe to the channel. See you again.